guys and welcome to another episode of Lancer Custom Werks, where I will be discussing the various mech builds you could make and play with Lancer. Emperor owns all the shields ever. Emperor is a very interesting frame, because it's so fragile even I could break it in half with my tiny teeny arm, which is why it can get all the overshield like all the time, even when applying it to its allies, especially when applying it to its allies, with a bow too. But if you think it's only good at supporting, you are wrong. Do you hate a specific someone really badly? Use this, and if you have an auxiliary spam ally around the corner, they are going to have a really bad day. Emperor also has a really long sensor range, a lot of systems points, so we are gonna see a lot of crazy builds, and a line 15 integrated bow that also pierces armor. Isn't that fun? However, you do not want to get cooked at all. In the following 40 builds, you will still find a lot of Emperor systems because they tend to be easy source of overshield, like Shanemet, that also clear heat, Walk of Kings, also good for Striker, Aya of the Syzygy and Dominion's Breadth are good sources of group damage instead. Then there's Bolt Nexus because seeking reliable 4 is very funny, and Imperial Eye to tell enemies to back off. As for the roles, Emperor is a very good support frame, and with its long sensor range and integrated ranged weapon, it's very good at controller and artillery roles too, but it works just fine as striker and defender roles as well. Now, let's get going with the support controller builds. Kneel Before the Duke, Kinofabino version, works well enough as the baseline Emperor build, with all the support systems like Dominion's Breadth to both hurt the enemies and support your strikers, Horo S2 with Walks of the King to make someone very safe, and Horo S3 with Aya of Syzygy to keep someone at the pain zone. Also, Tactician and Skirmisher combo well to let you line up targets for all the AP damage and overshield again, making the Emperor and its allies very hard to be damaged despite its low health. Little Dark Age is a more amusing Emperor build, because with ability to refresh overshield all the time, self-damaging systems don't seem to hurt that much, so this Emperor can use Smite and Beckoner whenever it wants, like gathering enemies into Dominion's Breadth or Aya of Syzygy zones, with turret drones for more damage support and to utilize Drone Commander with, which also generates overshield for allies and pain for the enemies. Artemis is also another Drone Commander Emperor, using Assassin Drones, Drone Commander, and Aya of Syzygy to take full advantage of Sovereign Presence and make one specific enemy takes all the pain in the process, with Tempest drones to keep enemies in it, constructing a kill zone that really live up to its name. Also has dual Bolt Nexus with Senti main for even more pain, plus Hacker for some counter hacking, with Held Image for even more bonuses. Blue-Eyed Fisherman is a half Iskander Emperor that's very simple to use, Tesseract a whole group of enemies out of cover, Aya of Syzygy them, and it's like shooting in a barrel. You can also just throw all the clamp bombs for extra damage, and still have all the other support tools. British National Pastime is an Emperor build where someone figured that since Emperor likes lining up targets so much, why not get all the line weapons, like Veil Rifle for soft cover, and Mag Cannon to pull people in, and if that's not enough, there's Blink Charges, Accelerate, Ferris Lash, and Total Strength Suite 1 to move people around. Fly in the Ointment Monkey in the Wrench Pain in the Ass, is another Emperor build revolved around trapping people in Aya of Syzygy, with Impaler to immobilize them, Sentinel Drone to keep them there, and Caltrip for even more pain. Also, in case you forget, Drone counts as allied character, meaning you can shoot them with the Marathon Arc for overshield too. Polyloot is a flying Senti main Emperor with a rather simple idea: fly close to an enemy, shoot them with Bolt Nexus, and just fly back to support your allies and laugh as Uncle just gives you free damage, with Ferris Lash to move anything nearby. Though Bless Oblige is just a simple half Black Witch Emperor with PCP and Ferris Lash to move allies or enemies, preferably with the enemies thrown into Aya of Syzygy zone for all the pain. Also has Veil Rifle and Neurospike to give allies even more protections instead of just all the overshield. Finally, there's
Aurora Borealis. At this time of year, at this time of day, in this part of the country, localized entirely within your kitchen.
Yes.
It's just a very normal Emperor that also likes to sneak around with Infiltrator, Kai Bioplating, and Retractable Profile to make it even harder to be found, with Ghost Weave and LBOC Cloaking Field to make it and its allies invisible almost all the time, so basically...
That's it?
No.
And that's all on the support controller Emperor. Now you can probably see why Emperor is both good at keeping its allies very alive, and its enemies very, very, dead. 15 sensor range is just really good at controlling the battlefield. Anyway, let's get going with the support artillery builds. This is Arrow Bending, A paracausal OP Cal Bolt Nexus Emperor because of course someone will make one, that can also aid an allied striker player with Walk of Kings to make their attack AP and flash anchor so the enemy can't push them back at all. Coronation in the House of Horus is just a dual autogun Emperor, so it can spend even more action on other things, like shooting the Marathon Arc and prototype weapon as launcher with Stormbringer to knock everything away. Having Dominion's Breadth and Aya of Syzygy just mean even more damage. I Wanna Be a Space Ranger is a Vulture DMR Infiltrator Emperor, that can hit any distant targets real hard with tracking bug to make sure they can't hide like it did, preferably sniping from somewhere high up, alongside marker light to make sure some attack will hit even harder. Who Gave the Cleric a Gun is a very simple Emperor that just happened to have a displacer as a sidearm because some people just want to see the world getting displaced, with Stasis Generator in case some people are just really troublesome, and Hacker for some counter-hacking action. Punish the Guilty, the Proud, and the Locked On is a Heatfall OC Loop Spotter Emperor with an Autopod stacked with OP Cal, Nuclear Cavalier, and Lucifer for a ton of damage, so while your allies benefit from all the accuracy, the enemy will keep getting shot by you. Also, Walking Armory, you know what it does at this point. There's also Horo S1 just in case some targets like to run away from you. The arrow that divides the land itself is I'm a bit confused, a dual nano comp Bolt Nexus Emperor with Senti main and held image for a lot of pain, but don't Bolt Nexus kinda already have Seeking, so the point spent there on nano comp is a bit pointless. But then again, I guess this means you get Seeking all the time. Also, still has all the Emperor systems and leader for plenty of support. Metagun is an Emperor with an Uncle OP Cal Shatterhead so you can get some decent free damage practically every turn, with Enclave Support Shield to further protect its allies, and has a full array of support talents to aid its allied even further. Technophile Black Thumb combo also let you the pilot replenishing small amount of overshield to your own frame, so you are never fully out of it. Aerial Superiority is just a flying Emperor with dual Bolt Nexus, one of which has Uncle attached to it, for a decent amount of damage and pain with Senti main, which Tactician fully takes advantage of, and if flying gets too hot, you can just climb somewhere high instead. And finally, King Crimson, because I can't just let a JoJo meme get away, and it's also another Displacer Emperor, now with Aya of Syzygy and Dominion's Breadth for a truly staggering amount of AoE damage. I doubt there's a lot of NPC that can not die from 14 AP damage at once, and with Stasis Generator, you can stop an enemy, prep up the kill zone, and once time resumes for them, they no longer exist. And that's all on the Support Artillery Emperor, which honestly isn't that hard to build since Emperor already has a very potent ranged weapon of its own. While most system points would go straight for support systems, that doesn't mean Emperor isn't powerful at long range too. Anyway, let's move on to the third most numerous builds, the Support Striker. The idea behind the Brightest Star Burns Out Faster is simple. Sovereign Presence works for any individual damage sources, so just spam the heck out of it with multiple Molten Wreaths and Siege Ram Titan Omichi Duelist combo for all the damage, and if you or allies need overshield, you still have the Marathon Arc. Son of the Right Hand is a combined arms Emperor with dual catalytic hammer, because why not, with a prototype melee weapon when the hammers are out, or you can just stay invisible with Ghost Weave to stabilize and reload for a turn. It also has hyperdense armor to make it even tougher against distant attack, and the funniest thing is, it doesn't matter with the Marathon Arc. Well, the damage still get halved, but you can still get plenty of overshield which don't get halved, if Shanema and Walk of King are both out somehow. You thought this was going to be a Hall Horse reference. Is an Emperor with plenty of power knuckles to take advantage of Sovereign Presence and Aya of Syzygy for plenty of damage, and with Hunters, those fists can reach very far, and if all the overshield on your allies and you isn't enough, there's armor lock plating to save your butt. Lastly, Soul Cleansing Leadbringer Eternal Everlasting is a Vanguard DSAS Emperor loaded up with damage with Rapid Maneuver Jet for all the overshield just by boosting, Skirmisher for mobility and correcting Marathon Arc line of fire, and Spike Charges to keep things wherever you want, just a lot of speed and a lot of pain up close. And that's it for Support Striker Emperor, maybe not as powerful as proper striker frame builds, but none of those can aid its allies as well as it could anyway, and when something is too far or you just need overshield, you still have the Marathon Arc. Finally, there's the Support Defender builds. Servant Leadership is an obligatory Fomorian Battle Taxi Emperor build, with House Guard and Spotter to support and protect its rider and nearby allies further, plus Kai Bioplating and Skirmisher to jump all over the place and get over obstacles, though just something to note, you can't exactly shoot your rider because they are occupying your space, so if they need overshield, they might need to get off first. Risk Management Expert is a Scylla Emperor with dual Vorpal guns to shoot anyone that dares to hurt its allies, with Pancrati to reach anywhere in the map in one turn, plus with Skirmisher, every time you shoot thanks to skirmish action or Scylla, you can move to line up targets and just deal all the damage and overshield you want, which is going to get very painful for all the enemies involved. In My Name is just another Scylla Emperor but now with Monitor and House Guard to trigger Scylla more easily, allowing you to shoot the Marathon arc 5 goddamn times in a turn. It's the same build but on a lot more drug basically. Finally, there's the Emperor's New Groove, a half-white witch Emperor that just want to take hits for allies, with Ferrofluid Lance to keep enemies in front of it and Neurospike to make it harder for them to attack, along with Black Thumb Technophile combo for an easy source of overshield or to patch up allies at range 2 thanks to House Guard. And the funniest thing about this build is Sympathetic Shield, because how it works is you give overshield to allies, but every time they take hit with the overshield you take damage, but thanks to how Emperor works, you get to duplicate the overshield to you so you take no damage anyway, and considering it's not unique, it might be a good idea to pack multiple of the system for all the protections for everyone. It's just really stupid and hilarious. And that's all on the Support Defender build, for when you want to put everything on protecting your allies by overshield or anything else. Now, that's all 40 Emperor builds finished. I would like to once again thank all of my viewers for sending their builds to this episode. I was actually quite surprised by how uncomplicated Emperor build is actually, just all the overshield everywhere with everything else stuffed in occasionally and it just works, because if your team is less damaged than the other side all the time, you will win eventually. Anyway, here's the topic of the next episode, and I will see you all next time. Hello there, if you like this video, please subscribe to my channel and click that notification bell button. If you really want to support my channel, you could visit my Patreon page, or buy me some coffee, links in the description. Anyway, have a nice day.